Yes, very much.
Hours of practice that you put in every day?
It varies, but 45 minutes to an hour every day.
Do you eat a lot? Are you a foodie?
Yes, very much. I love food.
So your favorite is?
I like all kinds of food. I love experimenting with food, but I think my all-time comfort food will be tenga.
কেনেকৈ আপুনি ভাবিলে যে মই মিউজিকেল career এটা ল'ম?
মোৰ ঘৰত খুব মিউজিকেল চৰ্চা খুব হৈছিলে. There was an inflow of many well-known musicians and artists, and there was always an atmosphere of music in my house.
So when you were growing up and even now, who do you think have been your strongest musical influences?
I think my father, because he was very passionate about music, and of course my teacher, Mr. Rajeshwar Bodloy, because without these two people, I don't think I would be what I am today.
There's a saying that everyone in Northeast India knows how to play a musical instrument. And while that may be an overstatement, but it establishes the strong connection that the people of the Northeast have with music. Today, I'm very excited to have with us Promiti Phukan, one of the most well-known pianists in Assam and the founder of Cadenza Music Academy. Promiti ba, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Promiti ba. Now I'll dive into your early childhood. Apunar horu kalor dinor kotha khudhu alop. How was it growing up? And when did you sort of find an interest in music? Aru keneke apni bhabile je moi musical career eta ল'ম?
I had a pretty much normal childhood like everybody else, and মোৰ ঘৰত খুব মিউজিকেল চৰ্চা খুব হৈছিলে. There was an inflow of many well-known musicians and artists, and there was always an atmosphere of music in my house. But I never knew that one day I would take up the piano, as ityato profession e hoy goise. So I didn't think of it that way because I was very young when I started learning. In fact, I was about 4.5 years old when my father took me to my piano teacher's home. আৰু মই তেতিয়া তাতে শিকিছিলোঁ. I was so tiny যে মোক এখন পীৰাৰ ওপৰত উঠাই দিছিলে, and then he had a keyboard, an electronic keyboard, and I would play on that. It was only, I think, after a year or so, one fine day, I woke up in afternoon, and then I heard music. I heard the notes of the piano playing, and then I come down and I see that we have an acoustic piano at home. And that's when I actually started developing my I wouldn't say career at that time, but then that's when interest and my passion started actually.
So when you were growing up and even now, who do you think have been your strongest musical influences?
I think my father, because he was very passionate about music. Our nije jodio formal training he didn't have, he was still very passionate about music. He would sing, he knew how to play the harmonium, he used to write songs. So he definitely has to be my strongest influence, and of course my teacher, Mr. Rajeshwar Bodloy, because without these two people, I don't think I would be what I am today.
Okay, and do you have like a training or an interest in playing another musical instrument apart from the piano?
Not really. Actually, I have a ukulele at home, but it's not even worth mentioning. Karan kuno mate ene tungtang koribo paru, but otherwise I don't have any formal training.
Piano
it's just
is like
the piano.
Your first and last love.
Yeah.
And so I have to come to the question about establishing Cadenza, which has grown into this foundation of music that everyone talks about. So সাধাৰণতে আমাৰ ইয়াতে আমি বহুত কম দেখা পাওঁ যে মিউজিকেলি আমি কোনো entrepreneurshipৰ concept এতিয়ালৈকে ইমান নাই. Generally we have a lot of music teachers, we have a lot of musicians, but someone opening a foundation on their own and finding the confidence to do that. How did you?
Well, to be honest, it took me a lot of time to actually gain that confidence. I was always teaching. Before moving back to Guwahati, we were in Bangalore actually for a while, and I had a corporate job there. But despite that, I was still teaching in the weekends. So I would visit people's homes. Eta duta, there were a few students, and I would visit their homes and teach them. It was only after I moved back to Guwahati about 15 years ago when I took to music full time. And I was teaching in a couple of institutions. I was also associated with Maria's Public School for 10 years. And I used to privately teach as well, but it wasn't very aggressive. Half of the people probably didn't even know that, I used to take classes at home. It was a very informal setup, mo mahator ghorot, in the living room where the piano was there. I used to teach there. And whoever knew or heard about it would come, interested people. So that's how I started teaching privately. Then gradually, lahe after, I realized that why work for somebody else when I can do the same thing on my own. And with my family's support and the little confidence that I gained, I thought I should start something on my own, and that's when Cadenza was born in 2019.
Lovely. Now, I would also want to ask you, because there are a lot of us who have come back to Assam after working or studying outside, and we always wanted to be back here. But we are not known for our drive, or, Khmer people as a norm, we are not the most proactive and not the most out there. But you took this challenge head on. So, apunar experience of apni ki hikile? If someone wants to start a foundation of their own, wants to start a startup, what have you learned that you would want to tell our listeners?
I think you have to be confident with what you're doing, and if you do anything passionately and sincerely, I think it goes out. Manhe to gom pai, they realize what you're doing. So hey, passion aru sincerity aru nijor drive, motivation thakile, I think it's doable.
Okay.
If I can do it, everybody can.
Okay, thank you. That's like a lovely line to quote. I would also want to ask you about Cadenza itself. You have a variety of students and you teach, I think, I saw an interview where, it was written that you've taught Celine Dion and you've taught like music of all sorts. There was someone who's, when we think of piano music, generally we think of classical music.
Correct.
And, the Brahms or someone who is a master or a great. We don't really think of contemporary music. But and often it happens that we prioritize one over the other. So as in classical music is, so-called great and contemporary music is perhaps not so. But apnar academy apni duta ke himane importance dise and you have taught students of all sorts. So what do you feel about this?
Actually, I started learning that way. Even though I had a classical grounding and a foundation where I learned how to read notes, I learned all the nitty-gritties of, Western classical music. I think that me, being contemporary music or faleo niatu, my teacher Birat Dangar, he has a big big role in this. So I think dutare balance ata rakhile, it is good, because then you're exposed to different kinds of genres, different kinds of music. You are, I think, you're more experienced that way. So Yato, even when I'm teaching, yes, of course, I definitely have to have the classical background, foundation with the proper grammar and everything. But it doesn't stop my kids to come with, a very popular contemporary song. And if they want to start playing it, I would definitely encourage that.
So is that your secret to connecting with your students?
I don't know. I'm supposed to be a very stern teacher, so you should ask that to my students. most of them are petrified of me. But yeah, of course, I feel that I do have a connect with all my students. It is natural. I've been in this field for nearly 30 years now, 25 years almost. So yeah, you over a period of time you definitely bond with your students.
So who have been your most, I know you can't have a favorite, but most memorable students, and what have you learned from them over the course of this time?
Well, again, like you already said, it would be very unfair to name because everybody has their own way of expressing music. And some people need a little more effort in expressing that same form of art, and some people may need lesser time. Jodi tahati naturally inclined towards music. In my case, because I'm talking about music, so it would be difficult for me to name somebody. But Jodi tumi hudhi sai, I must mention Prayashi, who was one of my best students. And what I'm very proud of is the fact that today she's also teaching in my academy. She's another teacher in the piano faculty apart from me. So moi je iman khini moi parisu, it's a big achievement for me.
Absolutely.
So I believe that I want to groom my own kids so that they can take this over after me.
Absolutely, you're leaving a wonderful legacy for your students. And also I think all of us sort of agree that you have established a culture for piano music in Assam, in Guwahati specifically, which was not there earlier. So this is something that was lacking in our musical atmosphere, although we have a lot of so to say musical atmosphere here, but amar bahut khini piano music especially mane hikar opportunity olop kom asile. So here I will also have to ask you what most parents like me would want to know, that if your child does not have a natural affinity, is it worthwhile sending him or her to music school, and can music be learned?
Yeah, why not? Kisumanor naturally ahe, Kisumanor may not, but then you discover that later. Because when I started, when I say something, I always place myself as an example. So when I started music, of course I used to hum and sing and like any other toddler would, but I didn't know that I had the knack or the affinity towards taking up music eventually as a career. So of course, hekhini background delay, that if you create that atmosphere at home, if you listen to songs with your children, and I'm sure that will help. And of course, learning an instrument definitely would just push that interest in that child.
So basically, amar bahut khini enekwa hoy jami we push children towards an extracurricular activity like music. It becomes just another checklist.
Correct.
So, and children are very smart, so they are like, I don't want to go to piano lesson because you are sending me. I'm not sure if I have an interest.
Right.
But beyond a piano lesson, I think music has a lot of influence and a healing power over all our lives.
Absolutely.
So even if they are not learning music formally at school, or they do not have that formal education, but how can we create a culture of music in our homes?
So like I said, I think, ajikali too, in most of the schools, music is included as part of the curriculum, which just shows how important it is, for a lot of things. It calms, it soothes your soul, it is stimulating. You can work on your discipline if you've taken up a musical instrument, or even vocals for that matter. But I think discussing music or what the child's interest, ajikali to most kids have access to YouTube. And some of my kids, for example, they come back and they are already fans of BTS and whatnot ajikali. Iman khoru khoru lor choli, they know what these bands are, which means that they have that kind of exposure. So if parents discuss that at home, or gan jodi ekelage bohi pelai shuna hoy, I think that will definitely motivate the child and encourage and of course create that interest.
So Promiti ba, apuni to over the years bahut bar perform korise, and we have all watched you and loved your performances. But for you, apunar kisuman memorable performances ase niki which you still remember, and just something exciting happened in those performances or something went totally wrong? Would you want to share your memorable performances?
Okay, so there was a time when I used to actually play with a couple of bands, but I used to play the keyboard then. But gradually over the years I sort of stopped. I didn't quite enjoy that scene as such. Shuni pale bhal lage, but nije bahut korilu aru. I toured a lot with a couple of bands of our region. Tapisot then okal piano te I started concentrating. Srimati Pratibha Patil had come for a high court function. And I had performed for her, so that was a very big achievement for me. And besides that, eko funny teneko eko nai, but I think one of my most memorable performances would be I organized this concert called Cadenza, and I started this in 2013. So during the first concert, there was a piece where my teacher, myself, and one of my students, 3 generations, we had performed together. So that was, I think, very memorable for me. One of my very fond memories. It hukale, so that will stay with me.
Yeah, makes it even more precious.
Yes.
And I'll also have to ask you about the live piano music scene, because I believe you are also like the pioneer in this. Do you want to talk about the live piano music scene?
Yeah, to be honest, as a pianist, I don't think I ever got an opportunity to perform live on an acoustic piano, because amar tenekwa auditoriums o nai aru eku public forums tenekwa nai. So I decided, or I thought that I should have an event like this, where at least my students should be seen and heard by the general audience of Guwahati. And it's a mammoth task, actually, to be honest, to carry an acoustic piano all the way to the venue and then get it tuned. Mane bahut jhamela bahut ase. But then it's worth it. At the end of the day, when all my kids are appreciated, people love what is presented on stage, and everything makes it worth the while, Ditya. And ever since 2013, I've had 6 more editions of Cadenza, and 2025 will have the 7th one. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, we are all looking forward to that, and thank you, Promiti ba, for speaking to us. We are not letting you go as of now because we have a spicy rapid fire round. Welcome to the rapid fire, Promiti ba. I hope it's going to be spicy enough.
I'm not sure if it's going to be spicy, but I'll try.
Right. I have to ask you about your favorite piece of music without any bias.
Okay, right now I think Waves of the Danube is playing in my head, so Waves of the Danube.
Right. And do you have a favorite music band?
Well, there are so many, but I think Tracy Chapman, ABBA, the Beatles, John Mayer, some of them.
So Promiti ba is a classics girl, and most of us unwind by listening to music. What does Promiti ba do?
Well, I listen to music all the time, but if I have to unwind, then I really like spending time with my 2 dogs, Apple and Siri. And of course, I love traveling. That also works.
Hi, Apple and Siri. And hours of practice that you put in every day?
It varies, but 45 minutes to an hour every day.
At least?
At least.
Do you eat a lot? Are you a foodie?
Yes, very much. I love food.
So your favorite is?
I like all kinds of food. I love experimenting with food, but I think my all-time comfort food will be tenga.
Okay, Ohomia at heart.
Yes.
And what's your favorite quote?
There's a German philosopher called Friedrich Nietzsche. So I really like what he said. He said, without music, life would be a mistake.
Truly. And what's your favorite song?
Many again, but I think I still get goosebumps when I listen to We Are the World. Such an impactful and meaningful song.
Yeah, and connected as we are. Do you travel?
Yes, very much.
What was your last travel destination?
I just got back from South Korea.
Wonderful. What did you like most about South Korea?
The people, they're very friendly, everything's very organized, clean, and safe.
Lovely. Thank you, Promiti Ba. It was very sweet, rapid fire, nothing spicy about it.
Yes.
But I hope our viewers are going to like it. Thank you for being with us,
Thank
and
you
we
so
wish
much.
you all good luck.
Thank you so much, Nasreen.
Thank you.
Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to the Assam Tribune.